Howdy. So, my name is Kyrie Garlick, and I'm a junior English major from Weslaco, which is a city in South Texas along the Mexican border. So, today I am presenting an excerpt from my creative piece, tentatively named Finding OK, which is set almost 2,000 miles from the place I grew up, in the fictional town of South Fork, West Virginia. It is a young adult contemporary crossover novel weaving together the rush of first love with the darkness of grief. Maren Vergeben is a high school senior turning 18 on the 8th year anniversary of the day her mother overdosed on fentanyl and died. This fatal decision resulted in the destruction of Maren's family, and she lost both her mother and her father in a 24-hour span. Finding OK deals with the way her tragedy has shaped her life and how, almost a decade later, through a developing relationship with a boy named Joe and his mom and the turmoil of an unplanned pregnancy, Maren is able to slowly pull away from the pain of her past and maybe even heal. The excerpt I'm reading today is from chapter 1. It's called Lonely Ghosts. Maren gets to the river with a little time to spare. She settles onto the bank to watch the gurgling water, green with the reflection of trees rising on all sides. It cannot be the same river her mother used to watch, but she likes to pretend it is. She pretends Mama is seated beside her, watching the ripples. These minutes on the riverbank are their mother-daughter time. They mainly consist of Maren asking for an answer and Mama never offering one. She pulls off her headphones and sets them on the grass beside her. If her mother speaks, she wants to hear. "Happy Death Day, Mama," she whispers to the wind. She strains her ears for the happy birthday that will never come. What does come is the snap of a twig. She imagines it's her mother, that her death was a prank, that she has been hiding all these years, waiting for the proper moment to inform Maren of her secret resurrection. She imagines the fentanyl was a lie, and Mama really was happy, and things were the way she always thought they were. But it's not Mama. A brown-haired boy has settled on the riverbank a few yards away from her. He is wearing a faded navy sweatshirt that has stolen accents from the storm clouds sitting over their heads. He has to have seen Maren, but he doesn't acknowledge her, and she returns the favor. She doesn't know why he is sitting at the river's edge, but she hopes the skeletons in his closet aren't threatening to pull him under like hers are. A few minutes pass. Her watch reads 7:42, and the bike ride to school will take her at least 10 minutes. She repositions her headphones and presses play so Lonely Ghosts by O+S can crawl back into her ears and plug out reality. The boy stays seated, eyes fixed on that liquid jade. Her first elective of the day is gym, a senior class of 234 students, and she still doesn't recognize anybody. The locker room is crammed with girls dripping out of their clothes and changing into the school-issued hunter green tees and white shorts. Maren does the same, cramming her leggings and the same yellow shirt she wore yesterday into one of the lockless lockers. The bell rings, and a group of girls file out, the majority carrying some semblance of conversation with them into the gym. They don't talk to Maren, and she doesn't talk to them. She simply pulls her hair back into a low ponytail and takes a seat on the bleachers, towards the top and away from the noise. The boys start trickling out of their locker room at around the same time and begin intermingling with the girls. Her eyes shift from the people around her to the award banners strung above the double doors, hiding massive chunks of cream-painted cinder block from view. Cross country, swimming, track. Her eyes follow them along the wall to the male locker room, where a boy is stumbling out late. She takes in his chocolate-colored hair and thinks back to the boy at the river, though she can't be sure it's him. The expression on his face is unreadable, but he walks with a sort of cool casualness that Maren admires. Near the foot of the bleachers, another boy calls out to him, waving him over. He grins, his teeth a white string of tiny seashells stretching across the brown sugar beach of his face. Maren hasn't been to the beach since she was 6. A whistle sounds, and she jerks her attention away from the boy and towards Coach Morgan, who is heading towards them from the direction of his office. His head is shaved, gleaming like an oiled bronze globe. He is carrying a clipboard and produces it to run through roll. Maren finds herself watching the chocolate-haired boy to see when he raises his hand. Vergeben is always called last, so she has some time to spy. "Joe?" calls Coach Morgan, scanning the crowd until his eyes find the boy in the second row. "Ah, there you are, buddy. You ready for cross country?" "Always, Coach." A blond guy beside Joe slaps him on the back and says something unintelligible with a laugh. Joe smiles slightly. Good boy. The coach rolls through the rest of attendance, calling Maren second to last, with someone named Mary Zaborowski taking the final slot. All right, everybody, says the coach. You know the drill. Fitness tests for grade and 5K runs for makeup. Yeah? Yeah. Any questions? No one moves to speak. Today is the timed mile. Listen up for your required minimums. Maren doesn't listen up because she knows she will never achieve it. She is small and skinny, but that hasn't helped much with speed in the past. She has always been one of the last people to cross the finish line. The group files outside to the school's half-mile track. It isn't turf like the tracks Maren has seen in movies, but cracked asphalt cutting through green grass in an oval on the edge of the school property. The students form a blob at the nearest corner, and Coach Morgan blows his whistle for them to start. Maren watches the bulk of students outpace her. She is fourth to last, with the three people behind her appearing to be at least slightly overweight. They have an excuse to be slow. She knows she has none. It is a long 13.5 minutes. When she passes Coach Morgan with his stopwatch, she is thoroughly gassed. Her lungs are constricted, and her heart is thumping so loudly that she can hear it ringing in her ears. She can't catch her breath and slumps against a tree shading a corner of the track. Hey, comes a voice. She turns to see the boy, Joe. It helps if you put your hands behind your head and walk around. He demonstrates as he speaks. You haven't cooled down yet, so stopping might not be a good idea. She folds her hands behind her head in the same manner and tries to slow her breathing. Her heartbeat still screams. Breathe in for 4 seconds, hold for 4, and then out for 4, he says. Like this. In. He sucks in a deep breath, slowly, and then holds it before exhaling again with slow, easy control. Out. Now you. She does the same. A long, slow inhale, hold, and a controlled breath out. She tries it again. We should walk, he prompts. You still look red. They step away from the tree and back onto the track where a few other students are also now walking or stretching. Do I know you? She asks, the tone coming across a little more sharply than she might have intended. He doesn't bat an eye. No, actually. He extends his right hand towards her. Joe Salazar. She takes it and lets his warm, firm hand envelope hers. Maren, she says in reply. Another deep breath. Nice. There's a beat of silence. You worried about your time? She shrugs. She is, but doesn't bother saying so. I always do badly on these things. Stupid of them to give grades for exercise. I actually disagree completely, he says. He turns to walk back towards the tree, and she follows suit. Are you familiar with Plato? Familiar, she thinks. Yes. Informed about? Definitely not. Interested in? Undecided. The philosopher? She asks. Not really. So, says Joe, his whole thing is balance. Balance in all things. He moves his hands while he talks, emphatic. Plato believed that everyone at their core was either gold, silver, or bronze. The gold people were the ones who excelled in academics and athletics. I guess I'm not made of gold, Maren says dismissively, and Joe smiles. I wasn't saying that. They have reached the shade of the tree again. Plato just felt that exercise toughened the softness of academics, and that academics softened the toughness of exercise. Maren leans against the tree, crossing her arms over her chest so they cover up the words Hampshire on the upper left-hand side of her shirt. What I'm getting from this is that Plato is the reason my GPA is being wrecked by Jim. It's not getting wrecked, says Joe with a laugh. You can run 5Ks to make up the grades. There's a beat of silence as Maren lets the conversation slip away. She's done the 5Ks every year for the past 3 years. I could do one with you, he says, if that would somehow make it better. Silence. Maren picks at a loose thread hanging from her left sleeve before looking at Joe again. Her eyes find his and absorb their depth. They look like pools of maple syrup. You're talking to me because you saw me at the river, she says. He is silent now, thinking. He turns away from her, fixing his syrupy gaze somewhere in the distance. A few seconds pass before he decides to nod. I've seen you before, but we've never really had a reason to talk. How is the river a reason to talk? She gives the thread a sharp tug and yanks it free. I've never seen anyone else there, he says slowly. She drops the green strand and watches it fall a few inches before clinging to the static of her white shorts. It's a public place. He nods again. He doesn't ask why she was there, and she assumes it's because he knows. The river is a thinking place. He was thinking, and so was she. Thank you.